TV with Grant Stinchfield.
Hi there, folks. Welcome to the program. Democratic candidates for office have no real ideas or policies that would benefit America. None. The same challenge that plagued Hillary Clinton plagues every Democrat. Their policies simply don't work. So what do? They latch on to issues that will cause people to cry. And then they blame Republicans, Donald Trump, the NRA, all of you for the nation's woes. Concocted woes, mind you. Today, our nation is better than it's been in decades. Still be warned. These are the issues I'm talking about. Guns and immigration. With each mass shooting, the left will blame the gun. Their media foot soldiers will show you victims of their crying families. We all cry for them. We really do. The left wants you to get emotional, and you should. But you can't let your emotions let you abandon reason. The left refuses to tell the real story on how to stop the mass shootings. Hardened targets, more armed good guys, prevention, and awareness to threats. Instead, the only story that gets told is how guns and the NRA are to blame. It's ludicrous, really. Now bring in immigration. We know for a fact far too many illegals are coming to America to do us harm. MS-13 gang members and members of other gangs, too. Terrorists, drug dealers, sex offenders. It's imperative we stop them all. We are a sovereign nation, and we have a right to protect our borders and know who comes and goes. Yet once again, Democratic Party leaders use the media to show you the faces of crying children. Mothers separated from their kids. The hearts break for them. They should. What isn't told, though, is that they made choices to break the law. They were well aware of the consequences. What isn't told is that there are far more American crying mothers weeping over the bodies of their dead children, killed by illegals, either as part of gang violence or even drunk driving. Of course, we can agree those mothers count too, can't we? But the media deliberately chooses not to tell their stories because the emotion would flip to our side. Instead, the activist media and the Democrats they work for continue to push lies instead of meaningful policies. They don't have any meaningful policies. It's a tired game, and the American people are also tired of it. Democratic New York Senator Kirsten Gillibrand is sticking to the left's talking points when she starts to talk about the upcoming elections. Sitting on stage at a New York festival with the likes of self-described comedian Chelsea Handler, Senator Gillibrand told the crowd what the two things are that Democrats will focus on if they win the House and the Senate in November. Just take a guess at what they are.
When we flip the House and flip the Senate, I think the first thing we should do is deal with the children who are being separated from their families at the border. We should, I think we should get rid of ICE. We should separate out two missions and do the anti-terrorism mission, the national security mission, and then on the other side, make sure you're doing looking at immigration as a humanitarian issue. I think we should pass the gun reform issues within the first month, all of them. Universal background checks, anti-trafficking, making sure people can't buy bump stocks, large magazine clips, all that work.
So there's a difference between magazines and clips, and here's the problem. She has no credibility when talking about guns. When you throw out terms like that, you have people cheering. They have no idea what they're talking about either. On the immigration front, Kirsten Gillibrand says it's supposed to be a humanitarian issue. It's not about being a humanitarian issue. It's about a national security issue. We must know who's coming or going. America has always been a nation of immigrants. I do not ever want to change that. I simply would love to make it easier for good people to come here and harder for bad ones. That's the bottom line. The way you make it harder for bad ones is build a wall along the border, which is starting to happen, and of course use ICE agents to patrol that border, coupled with the National Guard, as the president has sent down there. These are things that work to protect American citizens. But right now, it seems like many of the illegal criminals coming here have more rights than American citizens, and that is bad. On July 7th, 2016, a monster fired upon a group of police officers in our home city of Dallas, where we broadcast from here, killing 5 officers and injuring 9 others. The cop murderer was later killed by an explosive device attached to a robot. A father of one of the officers who was killed filed a lawsuit against the leaders of Black Lives Matter for inciting a war on police that led to the death of his son. The court dismissed the lawsuit. My next guest is representing the family of the officer, Patrick Zamarripa, and is now taking up an appeal to the 5th Court, claiming that the judge improperly dismissed the case. Our good friend Larry Klayman is here, Chairman and General Counsel for Freedom Watch. Larry, it is good to see you too. So we always find it important to update people on these cases. When you first launched this case, we had you on. The court throws this case out. What are you doing now?
We're going up to the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals. This is symptomatic of our judiciary today. They're frightened. They're like little sparrows. They don't want to take strong positions. We know for a fact, Grant, that the individual who killed Patrick Zamarripa, the son of my client, Enrique Zamarripa, very fine people, that he was a disciple of Louis Farrakhan of the Nation of Islam. And just a few days before that massacre down your way in Dallas, Farrakhan was calling upon his disciples to kill cops, to kill whites, to kill Jews, to kill Christians. Here's a video. This judge, and this is interesting too, is that this was a Trump-appointed judge. She previously had been a Democrat, but Trump somehow appointed her, got through the system, and she dismissed the case. I think she's frightened of Farrakhan. They don't want to face these issues. They feel personally threatened, and this is why they do what they do. There was no legal basis to do it. We were simply at the pleading stage where we alleged that Farrakhan orchestrated and directed and furthered this attack on Patrick Zamarripa. We also represent an African-American policeman by the name of Demetric Penny, who was assaulted during that raid, and another judge, a Clinton-appointed judge by the name, an individual who was out there as well. He had also dismissed that case, and that was against Black Lives Matter, Farrakhan, and it was against the New Black Panthers Party. They're simply frightened of these issues. They're worried that they're going to be called racist. They're worried they're going to be harmed. Their family's going to be harmed. Demetric Penny has been threatened many times, called other names. I can't repeat them here. So this is symptomatic of our courts. And this is why we have to go up to the Fifth Circuit, which is a fairly conservative circuit. We're confident it'll be reversed and sent back. But it's why we need better judges.
Yeah, it sure is. It shows just how important judges are on the benches, that we have ruling on the rule of law and the Constitution. As you look at this, I can't help but think of leading up to the shooting in Dallas. After the Ferguson happened, the Ferguson effect became very, very real. I remember marchers and chanters chanting things like, pigs in a blanket, fry 'em like bacon. The rhetoric started to increase. The war on cops became all too real. And the next thing you know, you've got somebody snapping. I do believe you have a case that these people have incited violence. Ultimately, I do believe the shooter is personally accountable for his own actions, of course. But you've got these all other groups. I think they were trying to incite violence.
Absolutely. And go on our website at freedomwatchusa.org. See the video. I'll put it up there prominently today of Farrakhan telling his disciples to kill whites. It's time to spill blood. That's what you have to do. 3 days later, the massacre in Dallas. There's a direct link there, you see. And Farrakhan is the most evil of all of these groups, whether it's Black Lives Matter or New Black Panthers Party. He's a vehement anti-Semite, a vehement anti-Christian, hates whites. He is a very dangerous person, and we chose to hold him accountable in a court of law. And his lawyer, Michael Muhammad, comes in there and says, oh, nothing's there. People don't believe that. And this is a problem. President Trump has appointed some very good judges, but this one slipped through the system. And it's something that we need to address. We need to pick judges in a much more intellectual and much more direct way than through politics. This judge got in there through politics. I'm
curious, Larry, have you ever been able to depose Louis Farrakhan? Have you tried?
I'd love to. Look, if Larry Klayman Grant can stick his neck out and take the risk, then certainly a court of law can. And I feel that we have to do this. Now, things have gotten better since Obama has left office. He was whipping up this hatred against cops and against whites and against others. I'll be blunt about that. Things have gotten better, but they're still out there. They're still a threat to this country. And I know that while this case was in progress, which it still is, Farrakhan has kept his mouth shut about threatening people. So that's the advantage of bringing these kinds of cases, win or lose. But I'm confident that we will win in the end.
Yeah, I hope you do in the end, and I think it would be good, not just to get some peace for Zamarripa's father and family and everybody there, but I think in the future. Larry, I see this all unfolding again, and I'm going to be talking about this tomorrow a little bit on the program, but I'm watching what we saw with the war on cops now become, it's all related, but a war on these ICE agents. The rhetoric against ICE agents is ramping up. You see pamphlets now how to stab an ICE agent and rip their hearts out. I'm worried now that we're going to see the same type of attack happen to our men and women protecting our borders.
And not just that, Grant. I saw your monologue and I heard it. It was excellent. That's why we need an NRA. This is why we need to be armed, not to be offensive, but to be defensive, because the violence is starting to spread into the streets. We need to be able to defend ourselves. I was up in San Francisco last week on a case that I brought against Antifa. 2 Antifa goons walk into the courthouse and watch the hearing that I had, in a threatening way. We need to be armed, frankly, and that's the importance of what you do. And it's completely exploding on every end. It's not just ICE agents, it's American people in the streets that are going to have to defend themselves and be armed to do it.
And sadly, in a city like San Francisco, Larry, unless you've paid for armed security to protect you going in and out of that courtroom, the city there and the state of California has but disarmed you and your ability to protect yourself, especially in the face, and I'm sure you get threats all the time.
I do, and I own 3 firearms, and they're for self-defense, and that's what's so important about the Second Amendment. And of course, you remember, Grant, the Bundy case, is that they peacefully used arms to stand down a tyrannical government that was trying to take their land, assaulting their family, killing their cattle. So all of this fits in context with this left, which is now getting very violent. They want to have a civil war, not just ICE agents, but the American people, and we have to be prepared for it.
Well, I appreciate the work you're doing, Larry Klayman. It's always great pleasure having you on the program. We will see you again soon. There's no doubt about that.
Look forward to it, Grant. God bless.
All right, good luck in court, too. All right, NRA TV correspondent Chuck Holton has spent the past week traveling around Europe and looking at the immigration and gun laws throughout several countries. He spent some time in Switzerland, where he got a chance to take a look at the gun culture in that country. Chuck got to meet with one of the firearms instructors out there who talked to Chuck about some of the gun laws and also his jealousy of Second Amendment rights.
So, tactical shooting is not all that popular in Switzerland for obvious reasons. There's not a lot of crime here. It's just not that big of a thing. But sport shooting, especially high precision sport shooting, is extremely popular. And I'm here at a shooting range in the northern part of Switzerland today to meet some Olympic hopefuls, people who are dedicating their lives to becoming the absolute best that Switzerland has to offer when it comes to precision rifle shooting. Let's go take a look.
Start, Vorbereitungs- und Probezeit. Standort wie heute Morgen. Ja, ich kann mich gerade anders entscheiden, weil ihr jetzt in der Mitte liegt. Nehmen die Standort
My name is Joe Van Almen and I'm with the shooting club in Lauterbrunn. Switzerland, the gun culture is really big. It's a national sport. Not a lot of people know about that, but almost every household has a gun there. And also if you go to military, you bring back your gun. I started really young. My grandfather is also a shooter. He is now 82 and shot since also like 12 years old. As I said, it's a huge thing. We're also our family. Every male shoots. Also my 2 sisters, age of 18 and 13, they're also shooting with me. I firmly believe that is because you can go to competitions really young. So you can go shooting at 12 the first time in a shooting range, and you're going to be trained by professionals like me. I train also young people. And they get used to like how to use a gun and respect the gun, what can happen with a gun. If you want to buy a semi-automatic gun, you have to have a background check from the government, and then they allow you to buy it. The EU wants to tell us that we have only allowed to have magazines of 10 shots, and most of our programs that we shoot on the target range are 20 shots. So that's really it's not going to combine. So our politicians are on the work to not take that on, because we're not EU, we don't have to follow them exactly, but there is a conflict at the moment. If we talk about America and their Second Amendment, we would love to be in America because you can shoot and you have a big community that push the guns and the rifles and all that stuff. We keep it a little bit quiet because we're afraid that if it gets too big, they're gonna take it away. So we just do our stuff, we have fun with it, we'll be quiet about it, and not do anything dangerous or stupid that we can still shoot. I teach the young children how to shoot the gun, of course, but also how to clean it, how to fix it, and how to properly use it. If you start shooting, you learn better how to concentrate, and that is also good for in school or your job, because you train that. What I find good with training the young children is not only the training of the shooting, how to shoot a gun, it's also they learn how to concentrate and how to focus on something, and that's also good for life.
Well, it's amazing stuff to watch. Not just in Switzerland are they jealous of our Second Amendment, all over the world, but it's what makes America great, and we are proud that we have it, we're proud that we support it, and we're proud that we defend it. I'm Grant Stinchfield. We'll see you back here in about 45 minutes from now.
You're watching NRA TV with Grant Stinchfield.